Yo, yo. Hello there, and welcome to another edition of Faith Factory Sunday School Workshop. And today we're going to be listening to the story of Jonah. And I know some of you have heard this through Sunday school, or maybe at home, or maybe even at Vacation Bible School. So anyway, it's a very cool story, and we're going to do some fun stuff today. So let's get at it.
The Book of Jonah, retold and illustrated by Peter Spear. And the Lord said to Jonah, "Get up, go to the city of Nineveh and speak out against it, for its evil ways have offended me." But instead, Jonah decided to flee from the Lord. He went to Joppa, found a ship bound for Tarshish, far away in the opposite direction of Nineveh, paid the fare, and went on board. Then the Lord sent a great wind onto the sea, creating a mighty storm, which threatened to break up the ship. The seamen were afraid, and each cried out to his own God, and they threw the ship's cargo into the sea to lighten their vessel. But Jonah had gone down below into the hold, where he had fallen fast asleep. And the captain came to him, saying, "What is the matter with you? Get up, call upon your God. Maybe your God will take notice of us, and not let us perish." Then the seamen said to each other, "Come, let us cast lots to discover who is responsible for the evil that has come upon us." So they cast lots, and the lot fell upon Jonah. They said to him, "Tell us, please, why has this evil befallen us? What is your occupation, and where do you come from? What is your country, and to which people do you belong?" And Jonah said to them, "I am a Hebrew. I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." Then the men were very frightened, and said to him, "What have you done?" For they knew that he was fleeing from the Lord, because he had told them so. They said to him, "What shall we do to calm the sea?" For the storm was still increasing, and the waves rose ever higher. And he said to them, "Take me and throw me into the sea, because only then will the sea be calm again. For I know that it is because of me that this storm is upon you." Instead, the men rowed hard to reach the safety of land, but could not, for the waves rose higher and higher against them. Therefore they cried to the Lord and said, "We beg of you, do not let us perish because of this man's sin, and do not punish us for taking this man's life. For you, Lord, are responsible for this. You have done as you pleased." So they picked up Jonah and threw him into the sea. And the sea stopped its raging and grew calm. This frightened the seamen greatly, so they offered a sacrifice and made solemn promises to the Lord. Now the Lord had arranged for a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Jonah prayed to the Lord his God from the belly of the fish, saying that he was deeply sorry to have disobeyed, and begging for forgiveness and mercy. He ended his prayer by saying, "I shall sacrifice to you with the voice of thanksgiving. What I have promised I shall do. Salvation belongs to the Lord." And the Lord spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah out onto dry land. Then the word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time, saying, "Get up, go to the city of Nineveh and warn them of their doom, as I told you to do before." Jonah arose and went to Nineveh according to the word of the Lord, a journey of 3 days. When he reached the city, he entered it and walked around in it for a day, warning, "In 40 days Nineveh shall be destroyed." And the people of Nineveh believed Jonah and proclaimed a fast and put on rough sackcloth from the greatest to the very least of them. The word also reached the king of Nineveh, He got up from his throne, took off his magnificent robe, and covered himself with sackcloth, and sat down among the ashes. And the king and his nobles decreed, "Let neither man nor beast, ox nor sheep, eat anything. Do not let them graze or drink water, but let man and beast be covered with sackcloth, and pray to God with all their might. They shall all turn from their evil ways and violence." Who knows? God may yet reconsider and turn his anger from us so that we will not perish. When God saw what they were doing, he regretted the punishment he had promised to send upon them, and he did not do it. But this displeased Jonah very much, and he was very angry. He prayed to the Lord, saying, "O Lord, did I not predict this when I was still in my own country? That is why I fled to Tarshish, for I knew that you are a gracious and merciful God, slow to anger and of great kindness. I knew that you would change your mind. Therefore, O Lord, take away my life, for it is better for me to die than to live." And the Lord replied, saying, "Are you right to be this angry?" Jonah left the city and went out to the east side of it. He built a shelter for himself, sat down, and waited to see what would become of the city. And God provided a vine, made it grow up over Jonah's head so that he would be shaded, and to soothe his anger. And Jonah rejoiced greatly in the vine. But at sunrise the next day, God sent a worm, which chewed through the vine so that it withered. And when the sun had risen, God arranged a warm east wind, and the sun beat down on Jonah's head, so that he felt faint and wanted to die. Then God said to Jonah, "What right do you have to be so angry about the vine?" And he answered, "I have every right to be angry, angry enough to die." The Lord then said to him, "You feel pity for the vine, which you did not plant nor tend, which came up in one night and perished in one night. So should I not feel pity for Nineveh, that great city in which there are more than 120,000 people who do not know right from wrong, to say nothing of their animals?"
All right, so we are going to make a Jonah and the whale, or big fish, craft. Sometimes when we hear the story, it refers to it as a whale, and sometimes as a big fish. Technically, we're going to be making this cute whale over here. So let's get started. We have to make sure that we have one large paper plate, the flexible kind, and scissors, black marker, some glue. You can try a glue stick if you want. Mine didn't work very well the first time I made it. And then we're going to take a white piece of paper. You should already have this that's been cut in half the long way. All right? So what we're going to start to do, friends, is we're going to take our paper plate and we're going to fold it in half. Try and get it right in half like this. Okay? All right? Then we're going to fold over a small section of the plate, like right where those stripes start, kind of. We're going to fold that over like that, and then we're going to unfold it again. And now we're going to take that part and fold it under the plate. So your plate's going to end up looking like this. See? All right, so we're going to take our plate and put it down like this. And right in the middle of the plate, we're going to just make kind of a curved triangle like that. Okay? Then at the point of this, we're going to just go out like this and curve up, but we don't want to go all the way to the edge. All right, friends? Excellent. You guys are doing a great job. All right, so now we're going to take our scissors, and we're going to be very careful, and we are going to cut along this triangle. and we're going to take that piece out. Okay. We're going to set that aside because we're going to use that piece later for our whale's fins. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut along this line, and remember we don't want to cut all the way out to the end. And this is going to end up being our whale's tail. So cut along this line, and we want to just stop before we get to the end. That's super important. We're going to stop before we get to the end. If you cut all the way through, don't panic. That's okay. We can fix it. And then we're going to carefully bend this up. That's why you didn't want to cut all the way through. And ta-da! We have our whale's tail. Okay? Very good. All right. Now, on the top here in the middle, we're going to cut a little tiny triangle notch out. So you just go like this, and you just go like this to make a little triangle. And pull that out. Sometimes it doesn't come real easy, but just pull that out, okay? Because later on, we're going to put the blowhole there. All right? Is everybody caught up so far? We should have this part bended in, this part cut out, our cool tail, and a little notch in the head. Super duper. Okay, now we're going to take our marker again, and we're going to make our whale's mouth. So where I want you to start, friends, is I want you to start down here at the point, at the bottom of our whale, and just curve a smile, a mouth up like this. And then right here, we're going to just put a little eye. And you can do that on both sides. We starting to look like a whale? Okay, so I think we can put our marker away now. And we're going to take our half sheet of paper. And we're going to start making slits in our paper, but once again, super important, we don't want to cut all the way through. So we're just going to go like this, guys, to about there. And just keep cutting kind of skinny strips. But don't go all the way to the edge. They don't have to be perfectly even. They don't have to be the same size exactly. Some can be a little chubbier than others. But try not to go too far down on your piece of paper. Cool beans? Cool beans. So I'm just going to keep going. Like I said, doesn't need to be super perfect. How are we doing so far? The cool thing about this being a video is that if you ever get behind, you can just hit pause. All right, I'm almost to the end. But then what we're going to do, guys, is once we get all of this done, we have to roll it up. And you have to roll them up pretty tight because this has to fit in that hole we made on the top of our whale's head. Okay, so you see how I'm trying to roll this up tightly? And if you find that it's just getting too fat, you can also always stop and cut this off and only use half of it. I'm going to see if I can get it rolled all the way up without making it too fat. So it's especially important that you kind of squeeze it down at this end, the end that's still held together. All right, there it is, all rolled together. So you got to hold on to that now. Don't let go. And what you can kind of do is just kind of open these up a little bit while you're holding on to the bottom. All right, now here's the moment of truth. Let's see if it fits in the hole we made. If the hole isn't big enough, friends, you know what we can do? we can just take our scissors and make that little triangle just a little bit bigger. But I rolled mine up tight enough to fit in that hole. So there we have it. There's our whale. He's got a nice blowhole there, shooting out that water. So friends, what you can do is you can leave your whale just like this if you want, but like I did on this side of the whale, you can also color it in. You could make it gray or blue, or if you wanted to make it a rainbow whale, that's entirely up to you because you know what? It's your whale. All right? So however you want to do it. Now the very last thing we're going to do is, remember that leftover piece that we had cut out? We're going to make our fins out of it, like I did over here. So I'm going to cut this in half, right down the middle, because we need one for each side, don't we? And you can put it on just like this if you want, or you can curve the ends a little bit, kind of make it look more like that. Doesn't much matter. And take a little bit of glue, just a tiny bit. Remember what happens when we use way too much glue? Ooh, we have a mess. Little bit of glue, and we're going to put that on our whale right there. And if you want, you can kind of bend it out a little bit. And there we have a fin. I'm going to flip my friend over here. I'm going to cut the edges off of this a little bit too. I've got my black marks on the back, so I'm going to make sure that's the side that I have against the fish. Put a little glue on. Hold it on there. Uh-oh. See what happens? I kind of rushed it. So now I'm going to hold my fingers on there and see if I can't get it to dry a little bit. Did I put it on backwards? Holy moly. I put my fin on backwards. Who cares? Ta-da! So now I have two whale friends. What do you think, guys? Pretty cool, huh? You did it. I like it. Okay guys, so today we heard about Jonah and we learned a couple of lessons. Number one, you can't run from God. God told Jonah what he needed him to do and Jonah didn't want to, so he went in the opposite direction. Hopped on a ship, ended up in a huge storm, got tossed overboard, was swallowed by a giant fish, and then got barfed out. The second lesson is this: God doesn't give up. He didn't give up on Jonah, and he didn't give up on the people of Nineveh. He could tell that they were willing to change their ways, and so he was willing to give them a second chance. And he's willing to give us a second chance too.